Here's the blurb I'm going to do for Smokey Joe.
Okay.
Straight off their website. I'll write it out.
Beautiful.
I doubt it'll be beautiful writing, but
I got to come up with a good slogan now for Smoking Joe. You like the cover. We got you covered.
they have Smoking Deals. That's on their website.
Oh. Wow. I like that.
There's smoking.
Jesus.
That's a throwback, eh? What's his name? Brad Ritchie?
Brad Ritchie and Chris Susie. We can even mention that at the top.
Yeah, that's correct.
Ladies and gentlemen, we've made it here together. Knockout stages of the 2016 Founders Cup. 4 games on the docket here for day number 6 as we get you set up to take you all the way to the gold. Trophies are here in the booth with us. The Tier 2 gold medal, which we'll focus our first 2 games on in our first 2 semifinals. The winners of our first 2 will play for this trophy here beside me. And the winners of our final 2 games will face off tomorrow at 5 p.m. for the Founders Cup trophy next to my partner Spencer Tangway. We'll take a quick.
As here is today's official broadcast schedule, Manitoba, Nova Scotia gets us kicked off. The SWAT will take on the Adirondacks, and then into the medal rounds, Seneca, Green Gales, and Orangeville takes on Calgary. That game getting underway at 8 p.m. Eastern. We'll throw it downstairs as we take part in the national anthem. So are we just going to come back?
Free broadcast yet again here from the 2016 Founders Cup, and our broadcast today being brought to you by Extreme Threads, your one-stop shop for business and team building branding solutions. Pardon me, their very beautiful, expansive showroom, open 7 days a week for your convenience. For more information or review their products, visit www.extremethreads.ca. And our first-time sponsor today.
Yeah, the Smokin' Joe's, natively owned and operated. Smokin' Joe's, based in the Tuscarora Indian Nation near Lewiston, New York. Please be sure to join them and experience native Niagara Falls as they try to revitalize Niagara Falls, New York.
Smokin' Joe's native trading post, and of course Extreme Threads, our big thank you to them, as we couldn't do this without you. As we've said all along, our plan was to be pay-per-view broadcast by now, but we've had a number of people step up over the course of the week to ensure that these broadcasts stay free. So follow them on Twitter and give them a thank you. As Nova Scotia and Manitoba get us started here, as we hit semifinal Saturday. Matthew Carrick, Spencer Tangway, our JVI Sports Network crew. Chris Susie has helped us out with our Nova Scotia broadcast. He'll join us in the second intermission to talk Nova Scotia lacrosse. And Brad Ritchie, normally in for the Manitoba Blizzard, he'll join us here at the first intermission, and we'll discuss Rocky Mountain Lacrosse and Manitoba as we get a huge moving pick on the far side as Alex Bungay goes down.
Well, Matt, this is a big game and a big turning point for both of these provinces here, representing, of course, with Manitoba and Nova Scotia. This is the time to shine and step up. You're not going for the Founders Cup anymore, but now the Tier 2 side, as they're going to play teams more suitable for their level of play, this will be a big, big turning point for both of these provinces.
Medanyuk out of the net on a rope straight down the floor. Andy Zunn posturing up, but unable to do much there as the Nova Scotia defense quick off that front bench. And I called that semifinal game yesterday. Nova Scotia against the Seneca War Chiefs, who rested a bunch of their top players, and it was pretty close for a little bit there with Nova Scotia. And Chris Soucy at the end of the game simply said 2 words: new goals for this Nova Scotia team. They were looking to medal here, take home at least a bronze, but now they definitely want this Tier 2 championship, Nova Scotia. And not that long ago, I mean, last night we had a good conversation about Saskatchewan and Saskatchewan lacrosse as we watch a shot come through here from Bobby Green, one of the top players in the tournament period, let alone here for Nova Scotia, by far and away their best player. But not that many years ago, these national championships, Nova Scotia was in that same boat, and we've definitely seen them grow and improve over the course of these first 5 days of this tournament. Spinning away from trouble there, Colin Poitras as it comes outside. Andy Zunn, his shot doesn't make it through to Aiden Piero, who gets the start today. Back-to-back starts for Ben Faulkner, who was actually pulled, allowing Aiden Piero to take over. So Piero gets the nod today in this all-important game. Our first 2 of the day. Winner moves on to the Tier 2 gold medal final tomorrow morning. And the loser, unfortunately, their tournament is finished here on day number 5. Ball stolen away from Nova Scotia. As not a big crowd by any stretch of the imagination, but Manitoba drawing a penalty here as the Nova Scotia player taken down, and now we will get that penalty call. Too many men against Manitoba.
Yeah, it's our first penalty of the game, and it comes at the 3:09 mark of the first period. So this will get our feet wet of what we're going to expect for the rest of this game. I'm expecting the intensity level will pick up once they get their feet wet in today's game and realize that, as I mentioned, the Founders Cup's out of reach, but now we have a chance to prove something. Let's actually go for it as we get our first look at what could be a great opportunity to open the scoring.
Ryan Hebert, jersey hanging in behind the Nova Scotia bench today. He was that player we talked about. Second shift of the tournament going down with that thumb injury. As up top, a nice seal there to open the lane for Green, but somebody got an arm on it before it broke through. And again on a line from Medanyuk into the corner. Him and Andy Zunn working chemistry here, and it turns into a goal as Jarrett Corshane comes streaking off the bench.
Well, it's a short-handed tally at the 16:25 mark, and it gives the Manitoba Blizzard their first goal, but Jared Corshane has been one of those offensive threats all week long for Manitoba. He played NCAA lacrosse in the field category, of course, and when I was talking to Brad Ritchie, he mentioned that 3 players on that team play at NCAA, and they always love playing NCAA to basically hone their skills in for tournaments like this, as they don't get together that often to play box lacrosse other than in the summer.
Beautiful outlet pass, though, from Riley Medanyuk. As Nova Scotia trying here, bangs it off the back boards and giving chase Matt Wilson. As we said, a small crowd, but every time Nova Scotia's been in the house here, that shot after the shot clock, and the officials wave it off. And the celebration a little premature there. As we just credit the fans, Nova Scotia definitely the loudest and proudest, waving the flags and cowbells and shakers throughout this tournament supporting Nova Scotia.
And Matt, actually, a lot of them made the trip by car driving down. As we walked into the arena this morning, seen 4 or 5 big vehicles that made the trip all the way down.
Nova Scotia license plates.
Be a fun week, though, to make a week of it and make a big journey out of it here coming down to Orangeville.
Big step forward there from Piero. Meets the Manitoba player with that shot. And we talked yesterday, Nova Scotia, their white jerseys with the provincial flag adorning the front in blue numbers. The navy blue with the white stripe and white lined navy numbers here for Manitoba. Home team is Nova Scotia. They get to pick their jerseys they're going to wear, as they've only brought this one set as the select team. As there's a tangle back in the defensive zone, but Manitoba streaking away. Rebound pops free from Piero, and we'll get a back-in call for Green, and it'll be put into the corner here.
Well, I think Nova Scotia is going to get a real test here as we see Manitoba, who has had so many close games in this tournament. Obviously, yesterday's blowout decision against the Green Gales was a big step backwards. But, Matt, we mentioned they made it to overtime. They fell against those Adanaks in that huge 9-8 decision. What a game that was just a few days ago. They show signs. Both of these teams have the signs to be in the championship tier, but it's the simple little mistakes like we just saw that back-in call that cost them many, many turnovers.
Errant pass in the corner. Jarrett Corshane, the only goal so far. They look for Blaze Bezecki, and that one's going to pop away. 1-0 in favor of Manitoba here. We've played 6 minutes in period number 1 as it's to the far side. Corshane spinning around, and that one will go in on net. Piero with the save.
Oh, a smart play there by Dalton Brown to push him in the crease. He did it very, very cleanly, and now it's going to be a Nova Scotia ball back the other way.
Nova Scotia will set up. Again, the home team is Nova Scotia. They've picked their jerseys and which end of the floor they want to defend. As working in there, Trey Carvery. Real good tournament for Trey Carvery as he gets in tight and ties the game. And there you go, the white and blue crossed flag of Nova Scotia flying proudly here in the arena on that goal.
Well, it's always great to see as we get another look here. Individual effort cutting through, and that is Trey Carvery. Kind of an unorthodox style, going through 3 Manitoba players, weaving his stick to both hands. And he just threw it at the hips of Medanek, and he couldn't get all of it, only got half the ball, and it went past him. But, Matt, we mentioned this game is going to be a close one, as all these 4 games this afternoon and today on the JVI Sports Network are games that are suitable for each team. These are going to be great lacrosse games, and all the blowouts should be over now.
Of course, winner tomorrow plays at 11 a.m. Final day on Super Sunday coming up tomorrow here from Orangeville, Ontario. Winner of our next game versus the winner of this one for the Tier 2 gold final, as Nova Scotia corrals the loose ball and clears the crease as Bobby Green from outside lets rip off the backboard. With this being an all-star team, some players forced in a few unorthodox positions, and I was surprised to find out Bobby Green is one of those players, the way he's been shooting the ball here in this tournament from up top.
Well, I was speaking with a few parents from Nova Scotia, and a lot of these players do play together. However, not all of them coming from the same team. And one of those players is Gaetan Tremblay, number 15 in the white and blue, Nova Scotia. He had problems early, just getting used to the adjustments, catching the ball, seeing the floor a little bit, and now he seems to found a little bit. Another one, Alex Taylor, had trouble adjusting, they were saying, but they're coming together as a team, and they actually got to have a big bonding day yesterday after their game as well.
Big Dartmouth Bandit contingent. The East Coast Junior B Lacrosse League champions. The Dartmouth Bandits making the trek out here. As the Manitoba player works in and then gets knocked off stride, Justin Pollock there. As Manitoba setting up again outside. They go up top course. Shane can't release. As we're going to see a heavy dose of Andy Zunn today, it looks like.
Well, Andy Zunn, what a big shooter, as he has that powerful right-handed shot from the up top. As that is Zunn with the ball right now, number 10. Kind of a stockier guy, not too tall, but he's got the muscle to shoot the ball as fast as some of the big players in the NLL.
Ball lifted up into the screen there from Zunn and goes wide after the shot clock. So Nova Scotia will pick it up over center. Pretty good defensive battle developing here so far.
Well, note how far out Manitoba is right now. They're pressuring them right when they come across that restraining line, and they're not setting back like they were yesterday against the Green Gales once it was already 5-6-0. As now we see Nova Scotia have to shoot like that from outside. Bobby Green gets a great look, turns it aside by Medanek. Ball comes to the top, and here is the goal scorer, Trey Carvery. He's got the lone goal for Nova Scotia. Once again trying to do it himself, go through the middle. Aquano, he couldn't get on it, and now they have to get back as the lob pass connects with the Blizzards' number 8, Gerald Patrick.
Manitoba playing this tournament without their top scorer, 56 goals, 106 points for Kelson Borisenko. Unable to make the trip. Adding 3 right at the last minute to come out here as well. So there's been some chemistry, and they're missing one of their top players as Medanek stands in for the save, has to dodge his own defender as well, who slides through.
Well, Brad Ritchie, when we speak to him during the first intermission, will be able to elaborate on how much they miss Borisenko and how this team kind of got put together at the last second. As some players not here, as we mentioned.
Played into the corner, and we'll get Nova Scotia ball now, it looks like. As Dalton Brown can't control it, pushed up the boards. Over the top, a duck and a drive there for Aquano. Aquano got decked as it went down low. Green with a shot, rolled in behind Medanek into the corner. But kept alive by Nova Scotia. There's a shot, Medanek stands in. And Nova Scotia still working with it. Couple resets here, keeping the defense on the floor.
Well, that outside shot not where they wanted it to be at all. Wasted shot clock. Lots of time still left in this opening period. 1-1 the score. 8:30 left in the opening frame. Ball comes to the near side for the Manitoba Blizzard. It was 1-0 for the Blizzard. Nova Scotia tied it up just minutes later. Spinning away from traffic, finds a lane out front, and he crashes into Piro. They get tangled up behind the net, and here we go. A little bit of morning adrenaline from their morning brew, maybe.
Both of these teams have done a little bit of this throughout this tournament. As Nova Scotia, the fierce battle against Calgary a couple days ago. What's been our best day of the tournament so far, just the way the round robin slotted out. We had 3 fantastic games, almost all 3 going to overtime, including our record viewership for this Founders Cup in the Seneca War Chiefs Orangeville Northman game. And we could have a repeat of that for gold. As now Manitoba brings it up over center. 7.5 to go.
7:30, as you mentioned, Matt, as this is still a lot of time as we see Manitoba struggling to get a lot of great scoring opportunities here as we see Bazicki, number 17, rushing after it, but a delayed penalty coming. Here comes Nova Scotia with some speed. Sanderson telling him to slow down as now Piro's on the bench. 6-on-5 opportunity with the extra attacker. We'll see what Nova Scotia can do. Still looking for that second goal of the game for either team. 1-1 score. Aquano to the near side. They go cross crease. It's the side of the net. And that will bring us a delayed penalty coming against Manitoba. And it's Colin Poitras.
Holding call here. There's a lot of movement in these Nova Scotia sets, both with Aquano and Bobby Green. As they go up top for Bobby Green now.
Well, we mentioned power plays are going to be a key to this game. How about a shorthanded goal to start today's broadcast? So we'll see what happens. Bobby Green, though, what a shooter he's been. Although we mentioned Aquano normally in that top shooter spot, but he plays the bottom crease onto this power play. Actually, Matt, I look down now he's got him in more of a shooter role up top, so we'll see what happens with Green in the quarterback spot.
I imagine they'll switch. It's actually Aquano setting the pick for Green. Took the time to hone in that radar, but it's just under the left glove of Medaniuk, who makes the save. Now sitting on the stick is Medaniuk, and somehow kept out of the crease on the
I don't know about that one.
Back in for Jarrett Wood. But this one will be launched down the floor. Is that Zun again? He's caught about 3 or 4 of those now. If it is, finds Corshane streaking off the bench, and the shot there sails wide of the net. Brett Draper able to steal it away down the far side.
Well, they're really going to slow it down now as we see Connor Aquino just coming up slowly here now as he will go down low to the crease where he's been placed all tournament long. Bobby Green gives up the top spot for number 5. That is Matt Wilson.
Wilson has it, backs away, bounce pass over here for Green. May have heard footsteps as he looked up as that one rolled in towards the boards. Scoots away from Aquano, and the shot clock will expire. 5.5 left to play, still tied 1-1. On goals from Andy Zun and Trey Carvery so far. Pardon me, I believe that was Jarrett Corshane that scored the first one shorthanded. Trying to get Blaze Bezecki a touch now, and that's all that it is a touch as the ball falls out the back of the stick. Running up over center, Kirk Drabble. Passing off over for Dalton Brown. Brown sending it back to the crease, a couple fakes and a goal for Brett McGuire. And Nova Scotia breaks the tie.
Well, I was going to say right before that happens, you could tell the inexperience of this Nova Scotia team, not used to playing with each other, as it was Nova Scotia's Kirk Drabble running down the floor, looking at his bench for instruction what to do with the ball, but he saw McGuire, and he saw an open Nova Scotia player wide open on the breakaway. Good finish by Nova Scotia on the power play.
And they'll get the face-off back here. Immediately Bobby Green. Aquano ends up cutting in front of him as they pass to the far side, getting the righties involved here. 3 righty set, a lot of movement. Opening the middle there for Alex Taylor. Taylor gets his own rebound, cuts behind the crease. Another shot that goes off the backboards. As Dalton Brown able to corral it, and now they'll slow things up here. Seen a lot less coaching in this game from Brandon Sanderson, Chet Konechny, and the group, which really speaks to the chemistry that these players are developing. Very evident in game number 1 against the Green Gales. As Green comes through, takes a shot. Someone may have got a stick check there as there wasn't much on it, but this boy's starting to figure it out. Imagine if they had played all year together and then came to this tournament. Definitely some talent down there on that Nova Scotia bench for sure. As we've seen Like you said, great lacrosse from both sides in this tournament, Manitoba as well. I've seen a lot more of Nova Scotia than just the way our schedule has worked out. You've kind of been around for Manitoba. I've been around for Nova Scotia, but we'll both discuss. Coming up first, intermission. Brad Ritchie again. I believe is joining Spencer Tangway at the intermission, or I think it may be both of us actually standing in as we've got perhaps an injured player over on the far side hobbling off now is Brett Draper.
Well, I'm looking forward to see what Brad has to say about Manitoba lacrosse and give you guys a little insight on how this team was put together, how they have made the trip here, and what it means for Manitoba to play in a big tournament like this. We mentioned that Nova Scotia, though, Matt, had a bronze medal back 2 years ago in Halifax, where they got that medal on their home soil, where it was the Six Nations Rebels taking the championship over Calgary.
Goodness gracious. If this is the contingent that drove to Ontario, I don't want to know what the crowd was like in Nova Scotia.
Well, that's exactly right.
That would have been a party and a half.
Well, just imagine every game they play. If they bring these many fans into the building, miles and miles across the country, this sport is growing so much in Nova Scotia. Give it 5-10 years. I wouldn't be surprised how well they come out in many age categories, including maybe a Minto Cup.
Couple bumps right in front of the Nova Scotia bench as it's lunchtime on the East Coast. Pardon me. Glad to have the Maritimers in with us on their lunch break as we get a high sticking call here against Kieran Mulvaney as it's about 10:30 in Manitoba, 11:25 Eastern Time here in beautiful Orangeville, Ontario, about an hour north of downtown Toronto.
Well, power play goes to work now for Nova Scotia. They capitalized on their last one. They're 1 for 3. This is their third opportunity, 1 for 2 rather, I should say. As here we go, Bobby Green starts us off, and he has shot Matt, I think 5 or 6 times off stick side right at the goalie's glove. We'll see if he goes there again with that underhand rip.
I was going to say all of them underhand, as it seems every time he goes over the shoulder, it doesn't work, and every time he goes underhand, he can't miss. As he's winding it up, goes over the shoulder, and it's shot off the right glove. Nearly put in the perfect spot. As this one, Zun runs underneath of it. Oh, crease call. Goodness gracious.
How about the reaction from Medanik coming up to celebrate? Head goes right to the heavens as he thought he had an assist. Beautiful stretch pass. But he just gets robbed of a goaltender assist, and boy, can he pass the ball. He must have 3 or 4 assists already just in this tournament.
I believe, not sure the official that made that call, but Green sends it to his right. Brett McGuire is there, sending it back. The shot comes just at the end of the shot clock. Dalton Brown there to keep it alive. Far corner for Trey Carvery. Got the first Nova Scotia goal as there's about 40 seconds left here. Up top for Green. Down in the corner. Played back up top. That one out of the reach of McGuire. And now Green has to give chase. 15 on the shot clock. 27 here in period 1. 35 left in the power play. Green for McGuire. Back up top for Green. A sidearm shot off the right leg. Drops down and played back here for Manitoba. It'll be shoveled ahead towards the Nova Scotia bench. And as Alex Bungay takes to the floor, it drops right in front of him, and they'll burn the timeout here with 8.2 left here in period number 1. 2-1 lead for Nova Scotia.
Well, it's a good, wise decision to take a timeout there. You have 8 seconds. No threat of a shot clock. Get your big players out there, and I'm sure it'll be the exact same power play minus the goaltender, and then add another player. But Pirro, I'm assuming, will be on the bench. And if you're Medanik, what a big goaltender for Manitoba. I'm shocked he doesn't play more of the butterfly style, as we see Bobby Green throw about 10 shots his way already. every single one of them going low.
Again, stay with us at intermission as Brad Ritchie. Some of the clocks run down to 3.8 here. As I believe they'll put it back up to somewhere around 8.8, but that actually took 5 seconds off the penalty time as well.
Which I'm sure they're figuring it out now because the referee, no, he blows it in. Wow.
That wasn't going to expire before the end of the period anyway, so they may fix it at the intermission. 1.5 seconds on the clock. It'll just be thrown into the corner quickly out for Bobby Green, though, before time expires. And a great period for both sides here as we got some words after the fact. But we will take a quick break. Great start to day number 5. It is semifinal Saturday. Here's the 2016 Founders Cup. And you're watching free lacrosse coverage on the JBI Sports Network. Our thanks to Extreme Threads and Smokin' Joe.
Born of the Huron and of the Mohawk, of the wilderness, of strength and endurance. This is Canada. This is lacrosse. Our country, our sport. Canada's national summer sport, lacrosse.
2017 Toronto Rock season tickets are on sale now. Lock in your seat today for as low as $195 and you won't miss a moment of the action. For more information, visit torontorock.com.
We are back live inside the Alder Street Arena, and we're now joined by Brad Ritchie of the Manitoba Blizzard. And Brad, a pretty intense game here, but it's really been, as we've been talking in the first period, a growing experience for both Nova Scotia and Manitoba. Talking about your boys a little bit and how they've grown from game 1 in this tournament.
Okay, well, we knew we were in a tough pool coming in, and that's what the coaches wanted. That's what the organization wanted. They wanted a chance to play against really the best teams at the junior B level in Canada and see how we did. And with the exception of the game yesterday, the placement game, the round robins were great. 2 of those games could have gone either way, and that's how you learn and that's how you get better.
Well, there's some big players on this team, as we see, of course, a lot of goaltending. Medanik having a huge tournament as well. How do they just cope as individuals in this tournament and grow as lacrosse players playing against the biggest and toughest teams?
I think the organization is well placed. I mean, you know, they want to play today and they want to play again tomorrow, but going into next year, obviously with every program, there's guys who age out, so we're losing 3 or 4 guys off the back end who are aging out, two of whom aren't here, and but just one guy out the front door aging out. So the team is well positioned going forward if everybody comes back. I think, you know, from the organization standpoint, if Coach Trevor Anion and Rob Wilson come back, we're more than good. We're very solid there. That they've taken it to the next level with these players, and the players are really buying into what they're saying. So we're good from a coaching perspective. I think we're good from a player's perspective. A lot of kids that got 2 or 3 years left, a good core group here to move forward with.
How difficult it has been coming into this tournament without Kelson Borosenko, your top scorer, over 100 points in the regular season, and not having him here in the offensive sets?
Well, you take the top scorer off of any team, and that's going to hurt anybody, and it hasn't been helpful, that's for sure, but the guys who filled in have done admirably. But not only Kelson not being here, Stumpy, Tanner Singleton not here as well. He's a solid guy on the right-hand side up front. And missing on the back end, we're missing Magnan and a couple of others on the back end, and some injuries. So, but you're right, having the leading scorer off of any team definitely hurts. And it's tough too, the guys who come in to develop chemistry so quickly, especially against such tough competition. So they've done a real good job of fitting in Charlton and Pollock and Patrick on the back end, developing that chemistry quickly in a real tough situation.
And finally, if you could just, I know we were talking about it before, but just for our viewers at home, describe how tough it is, a Rocky Mountain Lacrosse League, to travel, as all these teams are not that close together in junior lacrosse back at home.
No, we want to recognize the teams also travel to Winnipeg. So we appreciate being part of the Rocky Mountain Lacrosse League and the fact that the other teams, are coming to see us as well. But it's not easy. It's not easy. These young men, they've got school responsibilities, they've got work and life commitments, so it's not easy on them. It's not easy on the families and the parents and the volunteers and the coaches to take the time away, because it is a distance. It's a lot different than playing here. The organization is in a good position with the patrons, with Jim Newton and Terry Williams and the guys who've been a big support to the team. But we need to make this more sustainable from a Manitoba perspective, whether it be some corporate support, some benefactors, to take the load off of the players financially, because it's not simple, and that's part of what we'll be working on. Not starting in the spring, but starting right away, with recognizing that this is a great program. It offers a lot to the community, a lot to young people, a lot to prospective employers for developing young men who want to stay and work in Manitoba, and hopefully we can develop some corporate support going forward in Manitoba.
You guys, like you said, had to come out of that real tough division with Coquitlam, Seneca, the Orangeville, and then you also had to play the Green Gills. It has been a lot of tough competition, but we've been talking throughout, like teams like yourself, Coquitlam, Saskatchewan, the fact that playing against them actually make these guys better players. They can take things back home. In terms of a teaching tool when they get back into Manitoba, what do you think the learning experience has been like, just this whole entire tournament for the boys?
Well, as far as teaching tools, I'm sure the coaches are going to take advantage of the video that you guys have provided. That's a great teaching tool. But it's the on the floor stuff that that you feel it. That they can't make the same mental mistakes that they make in their regular season league play. Because if you make a mental mistake, you play against a team like you described, like Seneca or Orangeville, they're going to capitalize on it. So it means that you've got to stay focused for every single second of your shift and every shift of the game. Because you make a mistake, you get capitalized on. You can't take things lightly from a preparation perspective. You got to have the right nutrition. You got to be prepared. You got to be in shape, and that's going to allow you to compete at the next level. I mean, we're very close, and this experience is going to be really helpful for the guys who return going forward.
And now, away from lacrosse, just touching on more of a fun subject, I guess. Traveling, of course, across Canada is such a beautiful thing, and you get to see the land and see what this great country is made of. What's been the funnest part of just making the trip down here to Orangeville and taking part in the great tournament?
Oh, well, Orangeville's a great community. None of us had been here, with the exception of Coach Trevor Anion, who lived here for a long time. But Trevor told us it was great, and he was exactly right. It's been very friendly. It's nice to be in a lacrosse environment where people know what's going on, and they recognize that what you're here for. So that's really exciting. We've had great accommodations. We're not staying in a traditional hotel this time. We're staying at the Ecology Center, right? So kind of a cabin setting, a nature setting. So that's nice. Lots of great common spaces, meeting spaces, so guys can relax and hang out compared to just your traditional hotel rooms. So that's been really good. We were looking forward to having a later game yesterday than we did, but we were done at 1:30. So some of the boys took the opportunity to go to Niagara Falls. They'd never been there before, so we fought the traffic in the afternoon and spent about 3 hours in Niagara Falls and came back last night. So taking advantage of some of the things that Southern Ontario has to offer. And these boys have been fortunate. They've seen Calgary, they've seen Saskatoon, they've seen Edmonton, they've seen Red Deer. They've seen a lot of great spots across this entire country by playing in the Rocky Mountain Lacrosse League, and it's also fun for supporters like myself to travel as well.
That's right. And they can also say, as we heard at the introductory meeting, they have played in a national championship as well, so the full experience. Congratulations to yourself and the Manitoba Blizzard on a great tournament, however this game finishes up here. And thanks for stepping in the broadcast as well, giving us a bit of a Manitoba perspective throughout the week.
Oh, it was really fun. Thanks to you guys for providing the feed for everybody.
Well, on behalf of everyone, thanks again, and we will step aside. We'll be back. Period 2 action is just around the corner.
We remind you to follow us on Twitter at JVI Video, Facebook.com/JVI Video, and while you're there, be sure to check out the official Twitter and Instagram pages of today's broadcast sponsor, Extreme Threads. Follow Extreme Threads on Twitter at Team Extreme77 and at Extreme Threads on Instagram and at Smokin' Joe's on Twitter as well.
And how about Smokin' Joe's as well? The natively owned and operated Smokin' Joe's is based on the Tuscarora Indian Nation near Lewiston, New York. We are committed to bringing you smokin' deals on apparel, home goods, travel packages, and more. Be sure to visit Smokin' Joe's as they are aided with exceptional customer service. Join us and experience native Niagara Falls.
Teams are back on the floor now as it's a 2-1 score. And Rob Cook has now realized the time clock error from the first period. On the penalty time, it now ticks back up to 10 seconds. As Nova Scotia the brief power play here. Our thanks to Brad Ritchie. We got him out without recognizing him one final time, but Brad Ritchie of Manitoba Blizzard Lacrosse for not only joining us there in the first intermission, but also for helping provide color commentary for the Manitoba Blizzard games throughout this tournament. Matthew Carrick, Spencer Tangway, and our JVI Sports Network crew bringing you free lacrosse provided by Extreme Threads and Smokin' Joe's Native Trading Post.
Well, after all that penalty confusion, the timekeepers figured it out. We're back to 5-on-5. 2-1 though. Low-scoring game after 20 minutes.
As I keep wanting to call them the Barrie Blizzard, I apologize to folks out there if that one slips out, but it is Manitoba cutting to the crease as that ball skips away. Piero making the save as he's now down in the net to our right. And it's interesting, Nova Scotia's been defending that end the entire tournament, and they got the bench choice, but elected to go with the visitor bench as everybody picked that one yesterday as well. So as their goaltender doesn't have to deal with the glare, another crease call here. Takes a second one off the board for Nova Scotia as Bobby Green was right there.
Well, that's our third crease call of the game. The referees having great vision as that official Tanner Fetch is in perfect location and position to see that crease call, and he makes it. So that's our third one of the game as there's an outside shot.
And a Manitoba player clears the crease just before the Zune shot arrives on scene. And a discussion after the fact as Zune trying to fire up his bench as he went nose to nose with Zach Frazier afterwards.
Oh, I love it. I love it when they're getting all fired up like this for a game that they know they're out of the Founders Cup. But how about the Tier 2 trophy? And a trophy to bring back is better than nothing at all. What an outside shot from Andy Zunn. 2-2 the score. As we got to look right there at the Toronto Rock Athletic Center replay. All power plays, of course, brought to you by the Rock Elite League, a Canadian premier box lacrosse league in the winter where you get to play 24 games at the Toronto Rock Athletic Center.
Alex Taylor causing havoc on the crease there. He took a big bump on that set. And played back for Gaetan Tremblay. Down the far side, back for Trey Carvery though. Carvery to his left, played back up top. A sidearm shot there by Matt Wilson. Bounces off the leg of a defender. And Wilson gets it back to the far side. This is Bobby Green. 5 seconds on the clock as this one's going to bounce off the Tet of Millette and into the Nova Scotia bench. Been waiting for that one for a couple days, I'm not going to lie. The now 16-year-old Chris Millette, who celebrated a birthday yesterday. Came into this tournament as a 15-year-old. I'm sure we'll discuss him with Chris Susi, who will join us at the second intermission. And I'm sure he'll have a shout out for Frank the Tank, who I assume is watching. He's been a regular viewer on our Nova Scotia broadcast as we do get the penalty call. It'll be a high stick against Brett Draper. It's interesting going back to the hotel and looking at our viewership numbers on YouTube to see which games are getting the most viewers, and consistently the Nova Scotia games are getting real high numbers, so we know they've got a following. Calgary Chill, the good following. Of course, Seneca War Chiefs and the Green Gales have been big, as well as another outside shot and another gesture for Colin Poitras back at his bench.
Well, they have to remember it's still a 3-2 game. Nothing is set in stone at all yet, but an outside shot in the power play, and he's been one of their best all tournament long. Colin Poitras just blows that one right past the arm of Piero and makes it a 3-2 lead. 2 unanswered now for those Manitoba Blizzard.
Some jostling for position on the face-off line to our left. And Zach Fraser took the floor, but will now get back as Nova Scotia already with 5 out there. And they off the violation. They come racing in. It ends up in the stick of Alex Bungay. A couple fakes. Actually ran himself to his wrong side before taking that shot. Medenik handles it easily.
I like this double opportunity here for Manitoba to rag him into the boards. It is 5-on-5 lacrosse, but they're not letting up any pressure. They're going to get that possession as Nova Scotia gets called. That was Dalton Brown, called for holding the ball on his chest with his hand. This game, Matt, could get physical, believe it or not, as we didn't expect to see any fights or anything like that, as it's still a championship Saturday.
Well, it's been a defensive struggle as well, as you get a lot of jostling and words and things like that as these players match up every 30 seconds or so. As they do it again, Adam Connor was roughed up on that last set, and as he takes back to the floor, he's a chop for his counterpart. Goes unnoticed. And it's him and now Colin Poitras line up. Here's Blaze Bezecki working to the net. A shot that goes off the right arm, and still fired up is Adam Connor.
Well, this game's taken to a new intensity as Medanik's on the net. Slashing call coming against Nova Scotia. So here we go, 6-on-5. Poitras leading it up top.
Poitras to the far side, down in the corner is the fake, actually, as it's kept by Zun. Over to the crease for Bezecki, and
Whoa.
afterwards, wow, that seemed to be pretty late. Not sure what happened there.
Talk about getting your head in the game. He scored with his head.
I believe that was Justin Pollock coming in, as Blaze Bezecki now having words. As all the officials had their backs turned a little bit.
I'm just waiting for that one spark that's going to blow this game up. We haven't seen much of it all tournament, but I don't want to say it's needed in the game, but I feel all this steam needs to come out somehow rather than these cheap little slash behind the play slashes and cross checks that we're seeing that could really injure someone.
Our roughest day was definitely 2 days ago when the games meant the most to all of these teams. We had second and third places up for grabs. We had top spot in one of our divisions. And those games were very intense. All available on our YouTube archive as Blaze Bezecki takes the shot. And our thanks to our round robin sponsors, of course, the Toronto Rock, the Rock Athletic Center, and the Toronto Rock Elite League, as we're now in the medal rounds. Extreme Threads and Smokin' Joe's helping us out here on semifinal Saturday.
Well, Smokin' Joe, of course, a big sponsor of Seneca, as they will play at 5 o'clock Eastern Standard Time later on today. They'll go against the Green Gales. Big game that will be, and that will be, once again, Matt, Green Gales played against the SWAT, and we said those greens kind of matched up. Well, now we'll see the green and purple going against the green and white. More green in that very anticipated game at 5 o'clock.
Big double team on the far side. The whole pile falls down. The ball squeaks out the back of the rugby ruck. Aquano can't get there in time, and a couple big two-handers, and then one into the legs that goes unnoticed, it looked like, from Aquano. But as you said, just a little bit here or there, nothing really crossing the line. As this testosterone, both teams talking about having a day to kind of rest up and relax a little bit. As maybe should have gone out and sparred in the gym or something, I don't know. But
well, I love the adrenaline each team's coming in with here as we see Bezecki with those pink shoes on top of the power play, but everyone wants every single inch as that one goes off the crossbar. Piero almost made a beautiful sliding save.
It was a weird shot. It looked like it was going in for sure, and at the last minute almost rose up. As we go up top here for Poitras. His shot goes wide, and now we've got a race for it. And this is Nova Scotia player will just
correct call
run over the back of Kieran Mulvaney.
Oh, wow.
Big hit in the corner. Perfectly timed from Nova Scotia. You wanted a spark? That could be it, but Courtrain steps up, save from Piero. It's down the far side. Here comes Nova Scotia.
I love it. I love this stuff.
Zach Frazier, who did throw that hit up for Dalton Brown, wide open for Alex Taylor, and he can't hang on as Kirk Drabble running in to help out now. Brown keeping it alive, kept at bay, pulls it out. 10 on the shot clock. 3-2 lead now for the Blizzard. Shot in tight on the crease as Wilson had that one bounce away, and maybe a little too much adrenaline there, as a bit sloppy as a number of passes bouncing away from Nova Scotia. They did have 3 or 4 chances, though.
Well, we've seen a lot of great chances in this back-and-forth lacrosse game, Matt. But it's good on the officials to let them play. Tanner Fetcher, of course, Rob Pollock, all doing an excellent job this week as we see them ref every single day. As you may not know, that every ref, there's only 8 refs in the whole tournament, they all ref every single day.
Some of them more than once as we run down, and I don't believe the medal rounds, we'll have to check with Terry King on this one, but I don't believe the medal round referee schedule was set as the 6th Blizzard player comes scampering to the bench, and now they put another one out.
Now that's double too many men. That is actually a call, and they're going to call it.
Because he went to the bench for the change and threw another guy out there to go down to 5 and then back up to 6.
So the correct call here, Matt, is actually a double violation, as it happened when I was playing once in Welland. Roger Nurse and Ryan Dukas, the 2 Ontario refs, called it. Welland put on a guy once to make it 6, went off, and they said, oh, we're already getting a penalty. Might as well throw the whole bench on. And yes, they're going to call it twice.
Well, if you get called for 6 and leave the man out there, you can't get a second penalty for that, as we've seen some teams have 6 on the defense and then decide to stay out and match 6 on 6. But as the player ran back and made the change and put another one out, we'll see here. Would that be 4 or would that be 2 minor penalties?
No, it's 2 and 2, 5 on 3, as it is 2 separate minor penalties, not to the exact same player.
This is an odd one. It's one of those back pages of the rule books as we talk about Terry King. Again, great job as the RIC, great job from all of the officials.
Well, I mean, it's the same thing as if I were to slash you once. I'm already getting a slashing call, so why not just keep whacking you until, hey, we're touching the ball. I already got the slashing call. Let's just keep slashing. You cannot keep doing the penalty once you've already been called for it. But I'm actually wondering now if they're not going through with it. It seemed like they were, and I hope they do, as that is the correct call.
Well, we remind you folks that Smokin' Joe's is on board for the first time this tournament. Natively owned and operated, Smokin' Joe's based on the Tuscarora Indian Nation near Lewiston, New York. Committed to bringing you smoking deals on apparel, home good, travel packages, and more. Join us and experience native Niagara Falls.
And they elect to only give him 1 penalty. That's shocking to me, as the lead official, Tanner Fetch, had his hand up originally. And the back official was calling the second penalty when he came out again. So they give him a huge break, and Nova Scotia's coach was furious. But they score anyways.
So here's the question. Do we bring that up with Chris Soucy at the second intermission? Chris Soucy of Nova Scotia Lacrosse will join us. Of course, our thanks to Smokin' Joe's and Extreme Threads, who are back on for today as our sponsors. This is going to be a good look at this shot the whole way as it just skips through the crease and gets in. But 11 minutes left. Now in period number 2, we're tied up just 3 goals aside here, as it has been a defensive battle, as both Medanik and Piero have both played real well. Ball's going to skip out the back of the stick of Gaetan Tremblay as he runs into the corner. And Medanik coming out to set the pick. And a couple whacks in behind is now Tremblay tied up as he's got a hold of the stick of the Manitoba player. And I believe he's going to go for holding here. Gaetan Tremblay. Also racing over is Jarrett Wood. So we could have offsetting roughing calls here. And that is the call, and it will be Manitoba ball up at center as well.
Well, it's our first look, I believe, of 4-on-4 lacrosse of today's game. And back and forth we go. 4-3 the score now.
Great game we're treated to here today. First of 4 on the docket. SWAT and Adirondacks coming up next. Green Gales and Seneca, Northman Chill. As Nova Scotia is going to race out with it. Foot race here as one jumps out. Matt Melito first into the corner for the Blizzard. Spins back away, takes a big hit there from Dalton Brown. And the shot clock will expire.
So 3-3 the score. Note the score 3-3 as they made an error on the scoreboard, which after I said 4-3, I immediately thought to myself,
yeah, that doesn't sound
Manitoba had the lead. Unless they got a 2-pointer, LeBron James style. Pretty sure it's 3-3.
Dalton Brown up top. Good game for him so far. Good tournament. Trey Carvery as well. A number of different roles throughout this one as Carvery drops the shoulder and knocks his man down. Manitoba getting the ball back. And out the front door is Colin Poitras, as Bozecki. Over to the crease. Zun, a couple fakes. First went to the right, back to the left, and that shot off the backboards as Blaise Bozecki comes up top. Poitras again, the shot off the right shoulder this time. As Poitras having words with Grant Blackman afterwards. Bozecki bumped into the corner, and that will be a Blizzard ball.
Matt, it's been a long game, actually, as I take a look at the clock. Still 9 minutes to go into this second frame, and we're already approaching noon here in Orangeville, Ontario. As another penalty's coming, this time Nova Scotia heads off, making it a 4-on-3 opportunity for Manitoba. They'll play 4-on-3 for 19 seconds.
That makes it 1 o'clock in Nova Scotia. Those of you just finishing up your lunch break, we appreciate you being with us. And approaching lunch hour in Manitoba, about 11 o'clock we believe out there. Down in the corner. Up top again to Bozecki as they work the entire box and then go back up to the corner. And a coach once told me when all 5, well, everybody on the power play, in this case all 4, touch the ball, it usually ends up in something good happening.
Well, it was an excellent rotation there to simply move the ball around. Everyone gets a touch, and what a finish from Andy Zun up top. As it gets the goaltender moving, that's all it does, and the goaltender's not set. As Piero, you see him trying to fumble in for his position and just gets caught up a little bit, and that makes it 4-3 now. Still 4-on-4 though, and now we're back to 5-on-5.
And it's not even a matter of those passes being real fast and crisp. They're just working around the horn, and when everybody touches it, you don't know where the shot's actually going to come from. Whereas if you're eliminating one guy, you can really take that part of the game out. But we are 5-on-5. It is 4-3. And a shot and a goal from Manitoba as Poitras now into the face of one of the Nova Scotia players.
A smart call from the Nova Scotia bench to usher their goaltender to the bench, get water, calm down. 2 quick goals in less than 30 seconds. But I watched this shot on the Toronto Rock Athletic Center replay. Blaze Bazicki just to the top left corner of the net. That ball had eyes the minute it left those pink shooting strings.
Piero's actually on the bench, and he's going to make his way to the back seat here. Faulkner not on the bench.
Wow, that's a very tight leash. As I thought he was playing really well.
Faulkner is going to come in here, wasn't dressed, and the official wants them to hurry things up a little bit as Faulkner started the last 2 days for Nova Scotia. As we have passed the halfway mark of period number 2, so we may have to check on that as well if this was predetermined, but I don't believe so. As we thought Faulkner may have been injured yesterday when he left, as the second ball is on the floor.
Well, Mulvaney's got to be careful here as he is having words with the official, as he thought he blew it in, but the official said no, he didn't.
Chet Konechny will take up the argument for his player. As Brown postures up, takes a whack. As rushing in, Brown still with it, takes on 4 defenders. We got more jousting right in front of the crease. It was between Aquano and Gerald Patrick. As Patrick now hard on Aquano. As Aquano turns, they meet heads again, and it will be Gerald Patrick winning the better of that battle. Bobby Green taking up the fight. As a big whack there, stick goes flying, and covering the ear hole, Bobby Green will go probably for a high stick. As Gerald Patrick had that one get high up into the side of the helmet.
.7:30 left to go, 5-3 the score. Power play, Manitoba.
Blaze Bazicki up top for Poitras. Poitras straight down the pipe. Faulkner looking around for it. And you know this is a goalie that's just come into the game cold. You know he's got pulled the last 2 days. Let's put some rubber on the net here.
Well, it's still a game, Matt. Only 5-3, low-scoring game, as that's why I mentioned what a tight leash by the Nova Scotia bench. 2 quick shots that beat him. And it doesn't look like he's just going to go in to relieve Piero for a few minutes. Piero's got half his equipment off, so a tough call. But it'll be Faulkner the rest of the way.
Someone's lost a stick. It's one of the Blizzard players as he gets it back in. As Millette now takes the floor. Blackman behind him. As the defense penalty killers get into position. Poitras up top. Bazicki again. Pardon me, Poitras. Back for Zun. Into the corner. Bazicki, a rising shot. Had the top right corner. And it just sailed wide. Zun does reset the shot clock, though, as he's now chased out into the corner. Zun with it. Poitras and Zun playing catch up top. Back for Blaze Bezecki just outside the fan. Goes straight down the pipe. It blasts off the backboards and then kicked ahead by Bezecki. Faulkner down to play for that. A lot of good sights here in Orangeville, as Brad Ritchie commented, but also a lot of good players to learn from up here in Orangeville as Poitras sends that one down. It's going to get to the penalty box just as the door opens and Bobby Green regains the floor. Catching up to that in the corner. We understand Medanic took advantage of some of the great talent here in the Orangeville area this week, meeting with Anthony Cosmo.
There's a goaltender who's had his fair share of lacrosse experience, of course. Buffalo Bandit. Big starter, and he's loved in Buffalo. And actually talked to Cosmo, and he said, a couple years ago actually, I was speaking with him, and he said Bandit Land is so entertaining to play in front of, which is why he designed his helmet just for him. He created a helmet that has all the chants they use in Bandit Land, what their public address announcer, Sweeney Swenson, gets the crowd fired up with. And that's like Orangeville. If you've never been to the Buffalo Bandit Land or to the Toronto Rock Air Canada Center, NLL lacrosse all over this country each have their own little niches. And Cosmo, with Bandit Land, of course, loves Sweeney Swenson.
And we've seen the BOX chant spread through lacrosse. Of course, that originates from the Buffalo Bandits every time they get a penalty. And Nick Rose putting together a new helmet as well. As we talk goalie helmets, of course, tragically hip, sailing into retirement later on this evening.
Ooh, big day in Ontario for that, of course.
And across
that will be
Canada,
huge.
This one looking for the outlet pass, and just Robert Harrow looked back with his arms raised. Not that tall. As it's sent back down into the corner. Saskatchewan SWAT making their way. We were wondering yesterday, heard rumors that Jenna Nash would be back in the lineup perhaps. As here's a big rip, but she's still on crutches, so it doesn't look like that'll happen. As Trey Carberry gets his second of the game.
Well, it's a one-goal game all of a sudden. 3:41 left to go. And the flags are in the air here as we get a look at the Toronto Rock Athletic Center replay. And this one just stuns Medanic. Just a low bounce shot right at his feet. Didn't see it in the time. And now Manitoba is caught on their heels. Nova Scotia climbing their way back into it. Faulkner, who has come into today's game cold, has so far done the job.
And Daniel standing in, making the save as Nova Scotia comes back at it again. Clock is stuck here. 3:38 as now it gets started. Stalled for about 12 seconds there. As we go to the far side, maybe that's why this game's taking a bit.
Well, the fans are right into this game here in the building as Manitoba fans and Nova Scotia fans on the edge of their seats as Medanic looks down the floor, but that's going to be too far.
Couple times now as in behind we've got a couple players bumping chests back down in the Manitoba zone. And a very tired Blizzard forward waiting for everyone to get back. And they were all mixing it up in behind Anthony Melito here.
Well, you can see Anion on the bench. His face is so red from screaming at him to come on the floor so they could get forwards out, as now a Manitoba and Nova Scotia player get tangled up, and that was Manitoba's number 16, Cole Wozni, who is known as their little bulldog, their shortest guy and one of the shortest players in the tournament, but had the lone goal in yesterday's 15-1 thumping over the Green Gales.
At the hands of the Green Gales, of course. Green Gales winning that matchup. They'll play Seneca today at 5 p.m. here in Orangeville, Ontario. Two Orangeville connections on these benches. Of course, Brandon Sanderson, the coach of Nova Scotia. Everyone knows what that last name means up in these parts. As a shot clock violation against Nova Scotia, and head coach Anion over there for Manitoba again is Brad Ritchie said in the interview, a longtime resident of Nova Scotia, or pardon me, of of Orangeville, the Manitoba coach. If we can get some more coffee up here to the booth, we'll be fine. Big collision there as Nova Scotia player had his stick taken almost all the way to the Manitoba bench. Grant Blackman wanted a call, as did Zach Fraser as he was dropped. Carver and Green now sitting on the bench. They look to be tired. That's the one thing I'll say about Nova Scotia has just been the conditioning as now.
Here we go.
Oh, we may get something here as a punch thrown, but no more as the gear was off between Dalton Brown and trying to get a number for Manitoba. Brandon Sanderson motioning over.
Well, we knew something was bubbling, and we knew when it was going to break. As we will take a look.
On the left side is Sanderson having words with Anion now. As let's see this on the left side of your screen, just inside of the fan. This is where this is going to start. An elbow kind of high a little bit there. As they match up, tie up. Helmets come off, and one good shot in by Dalton Brown.
And it was Jarrett Wood for Manitoba, who I've been told can answer the bell or answer the call if he's needed to.
Dalton Brown in our running for 3-star selections. We'll see if he sticks around here. As Jarrett Wood and now Sanderson across the floor having words as Sanderson doing the turtle motion.
Oh, players aren't going to like this in the box, though, as you usually, as a timekeeper when I was growing up, that would be the place where you let off your steam and chirp each other back and forth. But third official in the box in these championship tournaments, so.
I've done some PA announcing over the last few years. We've been doing this, and you learn some new words down there. It could actually be a fun place to be, as some of these players can chirp pretty good. It's actually kind of funny to sit back and listen to him. It may go into JVI After Dark territory, but it's definitely.
Oh, I think it's all good and fun. You know what? I mentioned this before. No one is doing this off the street. There's nothing wrong with a little bit of frustration and anger put into the game of lacrosse, because at the end of the day, we said at the opening ceremonies, every single one of these players may end up playing together at some point, as we see a Manitoba goal that stretches the lead.
Poitras has been in the ear hole of a couple Nova Scotia players. He does it again. He's still chirping. And now the mock wipe the tear chant after this goal. Keep your eye on number 9. This is a pretty goal, but he'll get right in the face of a Nova Scotia player. As Bobby Green takes the floor, he's talking with Anthony Melito. And again, final game of the tournament for one of these two teams. The winner will play for Tier 2 Gold tomorrow morning, 11 a.m. As this one all the way down the floor. Manitoba gets back in.
Oh, that could be a late shot, and the official says get up.
Right.
38 seconds, Matt, and 6-4. Nova Scotia used their timeout in the first, but they do get one more. We'll see if they use it in the second period and elect not to save one for the third goal.
Oh, the official had a good look, though. And I believe that's Gaetan Tremblay. If it is, I think that's his first of the tournament as well.
Holy, was that not an emotional and very slow call by the official? Made it tense in the building. as slowly the arms came up for the goal. Fans are on the edge of their seats as we get a look at the Toronto Rock Athletics at a replay.
One Blizzard player coming to the bench, tapping himself on the chest, saying, "My bad," as Millette wins this face-off by just barreling over his man. And timeout being signaled from the bench of Manitoba as Poitras takes to the floor and gets right up to the official to make sure he saw the timeout.
Well, they put, I don't know what they're doing on the clock now.
Counting down the timeout, it looks like.
Well, they
for
put
a
up
minute.
10 minutes at first. So I think that was just an error, but
That'd be one heck of a timeout. You could.
as here is the crease goal that just happened. They called it a goal. And watch how slow the arms go up to the referee. As I was mentioning, we didn't know if it was a goal, as that is a good goal as he stays around it. But watch, 1 second, 2 seconds, now it's up.
Yeah.
And all the fans in the building were like, come on.
Well, we did see it the other night, like I said, in that Seneca game. It's when you're.
Oh, wow, what a game.
When your feet cross the cylinder, if you will, as if there's a cylinder forming the line around the crease that goes all the way to the ceiling. You can dive in there just as long as the ball goes in before your feet cross the line. Andrew Ecclestone had the best explanation of this that I've heard over the last little bit. Last year's President's Cup says it's if there's sensors on your feet that activate once you cross an invisible barrier over that crease line. And then, of course, we got the visual explanation from Jeremy Bailey the other night. Nearly climbed over the railing to show us the feet actually crossing the line. But 10 seconds left here outside of the timeout. Manitoba going with the extra attacker. Onto the crease. They had the opening and just a little bit of a double clutch there as Faulkner got time to come across, and we will finish period number 2, 6-5 in favor of Manitoba after 2 periods of play.
Well, only 1 period left, but it is 11 goals on the board so far. And Matt, coach will huddle before they go to the locker room and discuss what they'll have to do. Chris Susi will join us as he grabs the
Stealing stuff.
Founders Cup from us. But it is a 6-5 score. We'll step aside. Chris Susi from Nova Scotia will join Matt Carrick in just a moment. Stick with us.
He's here if you couldn't tell.
Born of the Huron and of the Mohawk, of the wilderness, of strength and endurance. This is Canada. This is lacrosse. Our country, our sport. Canada's national summer sport, lacrosse.
2017 Toronto Rock season tickets are on sale now. Lock in your seat today for as low as $195 and you won't miss a moment of the action. For more information, visit torontorock.com.
Apologies as Chris Susi now joins us up in the booth. Matthew Carrick here with Chris Susi from Nova Scotia Lacrosse. You've been hearing the voice all week for these Nova Scotia games. Thanks for that. And we talked throughout the week, I guess, that first game against the Green Gales, a lot of plays where guys were open, there were some picks set and just really not executing. It's really been 5 days of growth we've been seeing from this squad that's come together for this tournament.
Definitely, like I said, it's we're not a club team like the rest of the teams in the tournament. Throwing together 17 guys, coming down shorthanded, first of all. Now we're down to 16 runners with, of course, Ryan Hebert, who went down in his second shift. So it's been a battle for sure, and we were close to being in that bronze medal game.
And we've heard some players put in some different roles as well. Trey Carvery, one of those guys that's played a few different spots.
It's been offense,
and roles.
defense, transition.
And we understand Bobby Green, who's had a fantastic tournament, not normally the top
Born
shooter
of the
guy
Huron
either.
and of the Mohawk.
And Juano there.
Of the wilderness.
What's happening.
Of strength. This is Canada. This is lacrosse. Our country, our sport. Canada's
an
now.
all-star team. There's guys that are playing outside of their comfort zone a little bit.
Yeah, definitely. Like I said, it's not the same as junior back home. Like it's a way faster game here at nationals, right? So like you gotta get out of your comfort zone almost and play at a different level, like a higher pace game. Found that out against the Green Gales right away. Got Seneca yesterday. That was a great game. I think we took them for a little surprise. They weren't expecting that, so.
Well, obviously, they benched guys like Tommy Scanlon, Connor Fields, Mason Jones, and the list went on for them. But talk to me about that, I guess, because that really did show the growth of this team. We mentioned the other day the fact that you got the Green, I guess you could say, got the Green Gales out of the way in your first game, and then it was just focusing down, and the guys really started to build over the next couple.
Yeah, I think that was a good matchup to start the tournament for us. Just we knew we weren't going to win that game, okay? Let's face it. So basically that's just adjusting to the speed. That's it. Just because the junior league back home, it's not a bad league, but it's junior C quality, I guess. But when you put the 20 best guys together, that's when you can see some growth. And Bobby Green, like you said, he's not necessarily the biggest goal scorer, but here he's been golfing a lot, you know. So
hey, if it ain't broke, right?
That's it.
So you said you weren't going to win that game against the Green Gales. I think a lot of people in the building expected the same. Seneca didn't expect you guys to give them the run you did yesterday, but coming into that game, what was the thought there? Did you think you had it for them?
Yeah, well, we heard they were out partying the night before, and you know, want to wear them down in the end, and we came up a little short, but what was it, 14?
It was a lot closer than people thought it was going to be, regardless of the score.
Definitely. So, the best you can do is turn some heads and development for next year, and looking forward. But a lot of these guys, you'll see them again here next year, or it's in Saskatoon next year.
That's right.
Yeah, so we're already gearing up for that and figuring it out.
Yeah, in the I want to talk crowd support. We talked about the bronze medal you guys won, I think, 2 years ago in Nova Scotia. Mm-hmm. The comment I made to Spencer was, as loud and as rambunctious as the fans are that came out here to Orangeville, I can't imagine a game in Nova Scotia on that stage.
Definitely. The forum was bumping, that's for sure. No, it was a great opportunity to host it. We're trying to get a President's Cup here in the near future, so hopefully we can continue to host things in Nova Scotia and bring it.
A lot of good things happening down there. Of course, Chet Knesny, Brandon Sanderson, big parts of that. Mm-hmm. Talk about your fan support here in the building, and then, of course, back home. I know we've had a lot of people watching in throughout Nova Scotia. Every time we look at the list.
Oh, yeah, my phone's been blowing up.
Yours are up there. Games, so.
Yeah, definitely. You guys know the numbers better than I do for the stream, but I know a lot of people are watching. But, no, here we have one of the best fan supports in the building as far as the away teams are concerned. Manitoba doesn't have much, obviously, just because it's so far away, right? So, I don't know, you see a couple parents here and there, but it's nice that a lot of the parents and support staff have come down, made the trip.
Talk to me about your bench choice today, because you guys said you prefer that zone. You are the home team. You get to pick where you want, and now you're over on the visiting side bench.
Well, let's put it in importance of winning. The hallway is the main thing.
Okay.
Their dressing room's right in their hallway right there, or the tunnel that comes out to the bench. So we'd have to cross pass.
That'd be exciting after that period, huh?
Yeah, we just went with the easy way, and yeah, like I said, like it caused a lot of crap down there. So we're already getting into it, as you can see. So a little fired up.
So what's the third going to look like? I know you guys want this trophy behind us here. Don't touch it. Well, you can touch this
I already
one,
stole it.
I guess, but I don't know. I don't know if you guys.
You guys
believe
didn't even
in-
notice when I took it.
Oh, I noticed. Don't worry about that. It reminded me of the Drew Carey where they stole it out of the van. But okay, this one here is the Tier 2 gold medal trophy that you guys have a chance to fight for tomorrow. Should you gain this? The two words that you said to me, I thought summed it up perfectly yesterday, was just simply new goals for this team. You wanted to medal. Obviously, that's no longer possible, but now it's about this trophy here. How do you focus here on the third then?
Trophy's a trophy, so yeah, the boys want it bad. So it's 6-5 right now. It's anybody's game, but if they bring it here like they did yesterday against Seneca, I think moving forward we'll be playing in that 11 o'clock game tomorrow.
Frank the Tank watching today or what?
I don't know. He hasn't been Dave Carr's watching. I'll give him a shout out. Dave Carr's watching. He's a beauty.
There you go.
Yeah.
Well, that's 2 days. You may want to check in on Frank, eh?
Yeah, I know. He's probably building a shed somewhere.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah.
There we go. Nova Scotia loud and proud here in the building as the flag
That's
is
Chris
now
Millett's mom.
made an appearance, as the Millette family in the house, the Drabble family in the house,
He's
and the Green
16 now.
family as well. But Chris, it's been a great tournament for you guys. Thank you so much for joining us on Color.
Oh, thank you.
Thanks for this interview. Good luck in the third, and maybe we'll talk to you tomorrow.
Hopefully we see you tomorrow.
There you go.
Perfect.
That is Chris Soucy of Team Nova Scotia. They trail by 1 here
I take this trophy.
after period number 2. I think you're probably going to have to leave that there,
All right.
but we'll take a quick time out and tell you what, win this one, win tomorrow, and we'll let you take this one home.
All
How
right,
about that?
sounds good. You can't drink it though.
Oh, I'm sorry. We'll be back. JVI Sports Network free broadcast from the 2016 Founders Cup, brought to you by Smokin' Joe's and Extreme Thread.
Born of the Huron and of the Mohawk, of the wilderness, of strength and endurance. This is Canada. This is lacrosse. Our country, our sport. Canada's national summer sport, lacrosse.
2017 Toronto Rock season tickets are on sale now. Lock in your seat today for as low as $195 and you won't miss a moment of the action. For more information, visit torontorock.com.
Back inside Alder Street Recreation Complex Main Bowl Arena here in Orangeville, Ontario. Matthew Carrick now rejoined by Spencer Tangway, as we remind you that today's free broadcasts are brought to you by Extreme Threads for the second day in a row. If you're looking to design a cool and slick t-shirt for yourself or team, check out Extreme Threads on Instagram or Twitter. T-shirts, polos, sweaters, hats, jerseys, or anything you can put a logo on. Extreme Threads has you covered. Our thanks to them and our first time sponsor today, Smokin' Joe's.
Be sure to support Smokin' Joe's, of course, a huge sponsor of today's broadcast. Also a sponsor of those Seneca War Chiefs, Smokin' Joe's. Be sure to support them. They're based in the Tuscarora Indian Nation. Be sure to visit the native New York side and check out what Smokin' Joe's has to offer for you.
Bit of rough stuff at the end of that period. We'll see what happens here as 2 minutes and 40 seconds left of power play time for the Blizzard, but it is Nova Scotia controlling this. Bobby Green sending it over to the far side for Trey Carvery. He works in and hat-trick in the tie for Nova Scotia.
And it's a shorty, 6-6 shorthanded goal.
Something to say for Medanic as well.
Well, here is the Toronto Rock Athletic Center replay. And Medanic, as he goes to the bench, watch this, right past him again on the far side. And he is not happy, as I'm not sure what the call is. But the goaltender Cody Johnson has not moved, but Medanek has just gone to the room furious.
And now he scrambles to get stuff on. The official had a talk with Riley Medanek after this. Alex, I don't know if we can catch the end of the replay there. The official went right to him. Has Medanek been ejected from this game for a jersey? They were pointing at the neck of the jersey, and Medanek was fired up. Has Cody Johnson seen any action in this tournament? I don't remember.
He did.
Him.
He played yesterday. They
Okay.
pulled Medanek in that 15-1 decision. Johnson played the last 28 minutes, I believe it was, and he was fantastic. Also got our JVI Network third star as he came in, and he's going to come in again. And the referee is going to come over and discuss. The only thing I can think of here is if he got a 10-minute misconduct, no equipment violation unless the referee noticed something, but it has to come from the other side. But with 18:56 to go, Medanek leaves the net. Cody Johnson comes in, and talk about a big game changer. He was great yesterday, though, as Nova Scotia applauds. But I think they're in for a little more tougher task than they think, as Cody Johnson was fantastic for for Manitoba yesterday. Once again, Extreme Threads and Smokin' Joe's, today's broadcast sponsor. All Rock Elite League power plays and Toronto Rock Athletic Center replays. Once again, we thank all our sponsors, Smokin' Joe's, Extreme Threads, great friends of ours now and great partners here on the JVI Sports Network.
2 minutes up on the board on the side of Manitoba. And is still trying to figure out what happened with Medanek.
Well, our director, Alex Brazo, Matt, just showed that he saw Medanek freaking out on the official. So I'm wondering if it is that 10-minute violation or 10-minute misconduct, something, because it did not seem to be an injury. He came off fine.
Yeah, here comes the announcement in-house. 2
Illegal
in a game
equipment.
for illegal equipment. As I said, it looked like the official had motioned something to either the throat guard or the jersey area.
Well, we'll see what happens now, but we know he's done for the game. Cody Johnson gets the nod, and if that's the case, Manitoba comes in and scores. If that's the case, he will be done for the rest of today's game.
Well, I think that's why he was so fired up, too. They were looking at the neck, and I think you'll be able to tell me this. As we look down and see Cody Johnson now, we'll dissect this goal first for Manitoba, but it looks like I'm looking at the the throat guard there. It looks like it's one piece on the helmet, as my understanding is that's got to be tied on, as I'm not entirely sure.
But also, we're going to have to ask Terry King, the referee-in-chief, from this tournament, because most goaltender violations have to come from the other team. They have to be called from the other team, and I'd never seen Nova Scotia motion anything after that goal. As now, 7-6 Manitoba. Be sure to check out the official website of the JVI Sports Network at jvisportsnetwork.com. Also, follow us on Twitter. Follow Smokin' Joe's. Follow Extreme Threads, our great sponsors bringing you free lacrosse. Smokin' Joe's and Extreme Threads, Toronto Rock, and the Rock Elite League, all great partners. Here comes Nova Scotia in. Johnson's got his first save, and a big round of applause coming from the Manitoba side. Blizzard and Nova Scotia tied at 6-6. One goal so far in the period, and it's Manitoba who's got it. 7-6 Manitoba as we play 4-on-4 here in the Tier 2 semifinal. Winner, of course, will play tomorrow morning, 11 a.m. against Saskatchewan or Coquitlam. Outside shot, they got another. Colin Poitras makes it 8-6, and that's his third of the game, I believe. What a night for Colin Poitras, number 9. As we take a look at the 7th goal on the Toronto Rock Athletic Center replay, and then we'll show you the 8th goal on the Toronto Rock Athletic Center replay. So here's the 7th one, Matt. This is the one they scored as Johnson just made his way in, and then Poitras, moments later, outside rip. What a shot.
I missed both of these, but it is a rip, and Poitras again with words afterwards. This is the one thing that we didn't think of as I went and talked to referee-in-chief Terry King. We had a little meeting of the minds there as Grant Speece is also in the building. But he said if the referee did this, pointing to the neck, it could be a jewelry violation, which comes directly from the official. So the fact that we saw the neck, we saw no real call from the team, we believe that to be a jewelry violation, which is 2 in a game. So Medaniuk being called now, and it seems to have fired up Manitoba more than anybody.
Well, Matt, I just noticed, but it was Piro back in the net, as we're going to see a goaltender change once again. 9-6 now, as this one's going to beat Nova Scotia 5-hole right there as he's stepping out. So his day is over, and Piro should be coming right back in as we've seen him getting his equipment on right after that goal. Third goaltending change for Nova Scotia. 9-6 the score, Manitoba. Faulkner right back in the net. And Matt, they went back with Piro after that second intermission, calmed him down, but his day is over now. Faulkner, for the second time in today's game, comes off the bench.
Yeah, I don't imagine they'll go back to him again here after this, and we'll see if the goalie switch ignites Nova Scotia. Any momentum you thought they may have gained off that illegal equipment call, whatever it was. Again, we believe it could be jewelry related after discussing with a couple officials up here, but whatever that play was, we thought it may have inspired Nova Scotia, but it's really lit a charge under this Manitoba team. They now lead 9-6 as we've played just about 5 minutes here in period number 2. On this side, Zun from way outside, and Faulkner reaching down for that and goes into the corner. All the way up top. Zun one more time. And he's Zun with it. And if anybody's in the chat room still voting for Riley Medaniuk for 3 stars, I'm not entirely sure. We had some votes for him.
Yeah, unfortunately he will not be able to now.
Did play a great game, though, up until that point. We'll see what Cody Johnson can do if he can lead his team now. As we said, to the Tier 2 gold medal championships. And if he does, we'll have to keep our eye on Chris Soucy. He wanted to take something with him as he came out of the booth here. Whether it was the Founders Cup or the Tier 2 trophy.
While SWAT making their way into the building, enjoying a nice barbecue lunch, it looks like, prior to their game, as that will get underway at 2 o'clock Eastern time. SWAT against the Atanaks in the second semifinal. Winner takes on Nova Scotia or Manitoba.
Another lunchtime battle for our folks in Saskatchewan, right about 12 o'clock start time in Saskatchewan, and 11 o'clock out in BC as Coquitlam will take to the floor. That setting up to be a pretty good game as well, as the Atanaks have had a strong tournament. And of course, Green Gales playing Seneca at 5 p.m. in our gold medal semifinal. Number 1 in our primetime match features the Orangeville Northman Calgary Chill. As we get a tie-up up top and a few words, but this ball is going to bounce through to Mitchell Batiste. Batiste running down the far side, fakes it back, takes a shot, and no contact made with the goalie as it's just a wide shot up out of play. As now Manitoba's fans starting to come alive as we look to our right and see Coquitlam down in the corner.
Well, 13:38 to go. It is only a 3-goal game, and Nova Scotia, their heads don't seem to be in it anymore. I mentioned in the first and second period that their team, and this game really rather, as we see another goal, outside rip, and it just going Manitoba's way now. What a shot from Kieran Mulvaney.
And Blaze Bezecki now taking up conversation afterwards, as this, when the score was tight, it was a lot more on the tight defense and the offenses now that things have
Well, the game was just picking up more of a momentum, and you saw the intensity of both teams. Now it's just Manitoba all of a sudden, and I think that came right from that moment when Medanik had to leave the net. Anion, a great coach for Manitoba, controlling his troops. They have confidence in Johnson, whereas Manitoba now has a 4-goal lead, and Nova Scotia just seems so defeated.
Out in front, Carvery looking for 4, and Johnson with a big save. It's true here. All the momentum seems to be on the side of Manitoba as Nova Scotia can't catch a sniff.
Oh, they can't. You can't get down on yourselves, though, Matt. 12:58 to go. They just need a few big stops here now, coming from Faulkner.
It is such a momentum game. We talked about their crowd here still cheering as, Faulkner. Have to check the notes and compare numbers now. They've swapped a few times, have Nova Scotia in this game, but
yeah, they went with Pirro to start the third period, gave him another chance. But like I said, Faulkner for the second time coming off the bench, and that will do it for Pirro, unless maybe a jewelry violation. I don't know. I can't imagine it, but you never know. This game has so many endless opportunities, as that's going to be back in. No, they call it crease
violation against Nova Scotia. But we've seen throughout this tournament, as now Tyrell Charlton, a fantastic first game. One of those players not part of this team joining just for the tournament, as they needed a few extra bodies. As Poitras up top goes for Zun. Throughout this tournament, though, Nova Scotia has put together some big-time momentum swings. The East Coast runs as a big hit on the crease, and we'll see if Fraser, a big grin under the face mask of Kieran Mulvaney as he was taken down.
I got to ask Brad Ritchie when I get a second afterwards, the broadcast, if that is a thing in Manitoba, if they like to just bat it down the floor if they get in a pinch. Because I know I've watched a lot of games, and the majority, of course, here in Ontario, but you'll either just try to throw it away. But I've never seen, even the goaltenders, I've seen few players literally choke their hands up on the stick and try to swing it like they're Jose Bautista trying to hit a grand slam. So I don't know if that's what they're taught, if that's a technique they've picked up down in Manitoba.
Well, the conversation yesterday from Saskatchewan when Sam McDade was asking about growing the sport out there, the fact that a lot of those young players do play a lot of hockey, and of course that's something that these kids have played for, in some cases, 16, 17 years, where every time you're taught when you're in a pinch, just dump it down the ice. Takes a real tough coaching skill, especially at the minor level, to try and break kids of that habit, but I guess they're okay with it in Manitoba. As the dive there for Gaetan Tremblay, as we remember our first-time sponsor today, Smokin' Joe's, helping us bring you free lacrosse one more time here on semifinal Saturday.
Yeah, it's the natively owned and operated. Smokin' Joe's is based in Tuscarora, Indian Nation, near Lewiston, New York. We are committed to bringing you smokin' deals on apparel, home goods, travel packages, and more, aided with exceptional customer service. Locally, our mission is to revitalize Niagara Falls, New York, USA, while maintaining that Native American culture. Be sure to join us and experience Native Niagara Falls.
I think Batiste is heading off here for a high stick. As the official has the arm high, he will not, though.
What a
as
shot.
That one gets in behind Faulkner, as now Batiste and Cole Wozni. I was going to say nose to nose, but there's about a good foot advantage on the size of Batiste.
Well, take a look at the Rock replay here. What an absolute rip over Faulkner's left shoulder. And Faulkner's a goaltender that is very more of a hybrid hockey style. Goes down on some outside shots, and he thought he was going low there. You saw the knee buckle going in like he was going to go down to the butterfly, but a better rip to go over his shoulder and go out top. So that washes out the penalty. And Matt, we expected this a low-scoring game once we saw the first period and even the second period in the books. And how about 11-6 score now?
Yeah, it really was a good game up until that point, but I commented on it in the second period. We saw Bobby Green bent over a little bit. Now a couple more players. I just think Nova Scotia may be running out of gas here a little bit. As we saw that in a few earlier games, that the conditioning may not quite be there, as they have been getting better, but it has been real hot here throughout the week, as we've been saying. It is another hot one here today. No humidity, but we've brought some extra fans along and hoping it'll stay cool all the way in. As a late arrival into this scrum is Trey Carvery, and the official will just restart it as Nova Scotia still back having a conversation, but their teammate running up the floor with it, and now there will be a flood as all three get to the bench, faking it down in the corner. Ball is actually in the corner. I thought Bobby Green had it, as he does. That was an awkward play.
Well, they're taking a much more conservative approach than I'd like to see here. Down by 5 goals, not even 10 minutes to go, and they haven't even got a good look yet with 0 seconds left on the shot clock. They get a reset, but no movement in the middle. You just see the ball moving outside, as now we see Bobby Green setting a seal low, but that shot, not good enough for Nova Scotia right now. They have to pick up like they were in the first and second period. That momentum was huge for Nova Scotia. Now it just seems very lazy lacrosse.
Couple tweets. Still have Riley Majdanek on the first star of the game. Definitely a great performance until that game misconduct, the most recent one coming 17 minutes ago. We see from Kim Majdanek on Twitter, so perhaps
maybe a little connection there, I'm sure.
Not the most unbiased of opinions, but it was definitely a great game until just a few minutes ago, where again, no official word. It was just called 2 in a game for equipment, but we believe perhaps a jewelry violation. The shot comes in and Faulkner goes down, meeting that one low.
And Kim may know, actually, as I believe Brad Ritchie, when I was speaking with him, gave a shout out to Kim. And I want to say that was his mom, if I remember correctly. But she may know if he does like to wear jewelry out to the town or wherever, just even around working, whatever. And
well,
if that's the case, it could be. Some goalies or some players do forget to take it off.
I know some players, like if it's a chain or, some kind of talisman thing like that, they, just wear it all the time, and it's just second nature.
Yep.
At some point. And again, like you said, just forget. I know a couple junior players down in the Toronto area like to wear earrings and have actually faced a couple suspensions.
Oh, it's just a big safety thing.
The helmet coming off and you see the earring in there. But yeah, absolutely. That's what the first thing Grant Spee said was, a chain, especially for a goaltender, is, if that is the case, again, speculation up here for us, but it is very dangerous as they try to go over the top. What a save from Cody Johnson, as it is a smaller Manitoba fan contingent than Nova Scotia, but they're starting to get loud down there, recognizing the 5-goal lead. Manitoba still with momentum here as we hit 7 minutes left to play, period number 3. That one takes a funny hop off the stanchion before landing in the crease in front of Faulkner. As more mixing up in behind, Mitchell Batiste. Something may happen with him here before this one gets too far, as Batiste and Cole Wozni again in hard on each other. Wozni will keep it way up top now as they get Batiste off the floor. Batiste actually is still lining up, and he says he wants to match up with Wozni. He'll get Bezecki, though, as Bobby Brown goes in on Wozni. Hard on Wozni, a couple slashes now. There's Bobby Green. He didn't like the swim move that put him into the boards. It's actually Poitras over on the far side. As now, look out here, Bobby Green grabbing the face mask. There's a line change in full effect. Couple of players coming off the bench here for Nova Scotia. Look out, as it's been hot all week.
Well, I hate to say it, though, but Cody Johnson cannot get into this. As we see one fight for sure, a fight over there along the far boards. Let's see what happens.
8 aside down here on the floor as the punches continue down on his back.
But Manitoba,
Justin Pollock, as Batiste has been fired up for a couple minutes. Down on the far side, we got a player jerseyed on the far side. As Zach Fraser headed off the floor, Bobby Green as well.
What a turn of events. We mentioned it was bubbling. But Manitoba's got to be careful here. They're up by 6. They're likely moving on.
Well, and they have the momentum. They may have.
Absolutely.
One of these teams tomorrow will have a game. Of course, we saw Bobby Green go to the room, so if he's done, it'll fall to somebody else. He scored a majority of their goals here in this one, but
well,
as we said, we saw a few scraps. We saw players coming off the bench as Manitoba, after the goal, had started the line change, and that prompted a few Nova Scotia players to jump the hurdle there.
Well, as Anion, head coach of Manitoba now, you have to focus in on who you're saving for tomorrow. You're up by 6. You can't be silly with 6:12 to go as we get a good look at between the benches and all the commotion. Referees and coaches trying to clear up all the equipment and loose particles on the floor. But there is no reason to get involved with this if you're Manitoba. Still have a championship on the line tomorrow. Nova Scotia, of course, it was in this game, but now have fallen down by 6. As take a look at this. Here's our corner cam as we see it starting on the far side. Just hard lacrosse, not letting him into the middle. But
Bobby Green, there was a bit of a swim move there. He thought he was taken into the boards with his head down, and he kept going. This will be a good look at it. Alex, I don't know how much pad you have on the end, but let's just run it straight to the end. Even if we reset, it's probably okay. But Green goes after Poitras, as Poitras has been talking it up too here. But there was already number 6 and 7. They were on. Anthony Melito and Taylor Ritchie were on for the line change.
Well, look at the equipment go flying.
And when they jumped in, that's when we saw a couple extras come off the bench for Nova Scotia. So we'll try and get numbers there as well.
Well, if you like old-style lacrosse, bringing us back to the 80s and 90s right here, with gloves going off, sticks going to the ground. That's not Gatorade you see on the floor. As, of course, red spots of blood. But 12-6 score. Manitoba up by 6 with 6:12 left to go.
That's actually, I was trying to figure out what that was.
It looked like a Sharpie, a pink Sharpie.
Yeah, it was.
It is.
It was a pink Sharpie. That's the riot card from one of the officials.
Wow.
I was trying to figure out what that piece of gear was down there, but.
How about a pink Sharpie on the floor now? We've seen a lot come on this floor here at Alder Street.
And this is where we talk about the standby official. This is really a big job for him, as Rob Cook will now come out and let them know what he saw. This big delay gives us a chance to remind you of our sponsors. Extreme Threads, back for his second date. Extreme Threads is your one-stop shop for business and team branding solutions. Their very beautiful, expansive showroom is open 7 days a week for your convenience. For more information or to view their products, visit www.extremethreads.ca, Extreme with an X.
And of course, Smokin' Joe's, natively owned and operated. Smokin' Joe's, based on the Tuscarora Indian Nation in Lewiston, New York. They're committed to bringing you smoking deals on apparel, home goods, travel packages, and more. Be sure to check out Smokin' Joe's, the official sponsor of today's broadcast.
Nothing on the board just yet.
Well, Matt, if you're the official, how'd you count all those players? Because there was more than 5 aside.
There was 8 aside, so you'll see who the biggest players were. Batiste was fired up the whole time. Poitras was down there involved, as we're getting some patchwork done to Blaze Bezecki. Well, the officials are going to take a few minutes to figure this one out. I think we may have to do the same as Colin Poitras gets tied up there. So why don't we step aside? You're watching 2016 Founders Cup action. First of the Tier 2 semifinals. Things getting heated here at the Alder Street Arena. We'll take a quick timeout and we'll be back with all the penalty information for you on the other side of this timeout. Day number 5 from the Founders Cup on the JVI Sports Network. Well, you thought these two teams had short benches coming into this game. They just got a lot shorter as Nova Scotia and Manitoba, a couple ejections here. We haven't got official word up in the broadcast booth of the penalties. Nobody's in the box as they continue
Loose ball,
to work it out.
scores. Oh my. Sorry, Matt, but
No,
I
that's okay.
saw that, and I felt so bad for that goaltender. He had no idea. No one knew except the ref.
It's still Faulkner
Oh, my.
in net as Faulkner was looking around for it. It looked like he had it.
Well, watch the replay here, Matt. Toronto Rock Athletics had a replay. Watch the ball. He makes a perfect save. Now watch. He turns and look at the ball. Look where he's looking. Oh, my. I feel so bad.
Well, it wasn't loose for a while, so how did it sneak through? Because his defender was right there.
Now, how about this? This was the huge fight that happened
Keep
just
your
a
eye
few minutes.
on 18 White, as on the far side, he'll get taken out into the boards. As on the floor, we watch Cody Johnson corral a loose ball. Top of your screen, Green is over there. He's going to, I don't think we'll see him taken into the boards, but that fires him up as he had something to say to his man afterwards as Poitras.
As live action in the bottom of your screen, now bottom left. But this is the huge thing that changed this game as we see a fight now break out at center.
This is a replay again, folks. What you're seeing right now is a replay.
Now count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and there's a guy off the bench, 20 for Nova Scotia.
Looked like Adam Connor, Grant Blackman, and Brett McGuire were the three that joined the fray after the fact.
As we see the officials doing a fantastic job breaking that up quickly. As they announce all the penalties. And another penalty coming. This time it's to Nova Scotia. As we see something continue here, Tremblay. And they're calling both. Actually, no, they're not. Oh, yes, they are. Tremblay's going off, and so is number 5 for Manitoba. That is Matt Melito. So Tremblay and Melito going off.
So Poitras gets 5 plus 10 for Colin Poitras. Blaise Bezecki gets 5 for fighting in a game misconduct.
So that'll just be this game.
Bobby Green gets 2 for roughing, 5 for roughing in a 10-minute misconduct. In a straight game misconduct for Grant Blackman, and 5 and a game for Adam Connor. Again, those 5 minutes we believe are 5 for roughing, so that no real paperwork or suspensions have to be done, but there may have been 5 for fighting for 2 of those. I'm not entirely sure, as we couldn't quite hear, but those are the penalties, in fact, and that all happened with 6:13 left to go, so the automatic CLA game one game suspension for automatically fighting within the last 5 minutes of a game does not apply to any of those players. However, any extra supplementary discipline may, and I'm not sure how the appeal process works, if there is an appeal process, or things like buybacks here in CLA tournaments, as wheels falling off here a little bit for Nova Scotia.
I can't believe how this game has changed so much since what we saw in that first and second period.
Well, what a beautiful first period of just hard-nosed defensive lacrosse, eh?
And now you look at the score, and it's 14-6 for Manitoba. And the Manitoba Blizzard have just kicked it into some sort of overdrive, whereas we have seen Nova Scotia fall completely back the other way flat. And that will be the end of their tournament. The first team eliminated. Nova Scotia will fall and finish in the 8th seed. Still lots of time. Be sure to follow us on Twitter at JVI Video. Also be sure to check out the official website, jvisportsnetwork.com.
We technically would have a tie for 7th with the loser of our
That is correct.
2 p.m. game between the Coquitlam Atanaks and Saskatchewan SWAT. That one coming your way in just under an hour's time. So we've got 3.5 left here, but what a first couple periods of this one. It'll be available on demand on our YouTube channel thanks to Smokin' Joe's and Extreme Threads. As this pass actually gets picked off, and Zach Fraser one-handing it down the boards, gets into the middle, now passes far side, the shot, fake shot, pardon me, as Johnson stands in
and by the way,
makes the save.
He's yet to let in a goal.
In this tournament.
Johnson, no, in the tournament he's let in a
sorry.
few because he played against the Green Gales yesterday.
That's right, sorry, my bad.
And he's let in 4 against the Green Gales. But in this game, since that turning point, and that has to be the turning point, was when Medanic got called for the illegal equipment and game misconduct. Cody Johnson has stepped in and once again given his chance to give it Trevor Anion the chance to win.
2:26 left to play, but as we said, once after that tie, it was a run for Manitoba. Started with the ejection from Medanic. But Nova Scotia trying to get another one here. Aquano from the outside sends it to the far man and a moving pick call. Bit of a late drop for the ball there from Matt Wilson. And of course, all that extra activity just means more to Manitoba, who looks like they will move on to our 11 o'clock game. As Faulkner, full splits, working to his right. Shot went wide, though, as there's 10 seconds left here. On the shot clock, Cole Wozni. Over to Zun on the side, shoots around a defender. Big hit after the fact. Everything, all the dirty stuff seems to have calmed down as a pair of 10s. Andy Zun, Dalton Brown have a brief conversation on their way to the box. To the benches, rather, as that shot hits high off the shoulder. Played to the far side, Matt Wilson. Big collision coming in, another pair of 5s now. Matt Melito and Wilson. And it's going to be Melito, the bigger body, getting the better of that exchange. As they continue in the corner. Referee's doing a good job of making sure nothing else transpires here in this game as we hit the last minute of play. An 8-goal lead. 8-0 run extended by the Blizzard now.
And I still can't believe how much this game has changed since that first and second period.
That's true. All of that really happened over about a 12-minute span. As this one's going to roll the Blizzard way. And they'll move on. Manitoba fans, it'll be 10 o'clock where you are as we hit Super Sunday. Tier 2 gold medal final will feature the Manitoba Blizzard. Then they await their opponent. It will either be the Coquitlam Adanacs or the Saskatchewan SWAT. That game coming up at 2 p.m. Eastern time today here on the JVI Sports Network. Free lacrosse all day, provided by Extreme Threads and Smokin' Joe's. One final time, the cowbells and ring and the flags wave for Nova Scotia, but a very happy Manitoba fan base will come back tomorrow. Our 3 stars of the game: Dalton Brown, the 3rd star. Very good defensive games the first 2 periods, added a couple goals as well, as he had a really good game here after Bobby Green was pretty much shut down by the Blizzard defense.
Well, 2nd star here on the JVI Sports Network. And we talk about a player now that had a big come-through game, and that was Trey Carvery. Carvery, of course, picked up a few goals, and Carvery, number 7 for Nova Scotia, had majority of the offensive looks, and that brings us to our 1st star of the game, and that is coming from Manitoba.
And it will be Andy Zun, who continued to shoot from the outside. Kept the school down the stretch there, and Andy Zun gets our top star. And we await the player of the game nominations for both Nova Scotia and the Manitoba Blizzard. Don't forget, this is the handshake line as everyone just lines up. A great part of this game as they do battle for 3 periods and they line up and shake hands after. But they'll get to the lines, and Team Nova Scotia, they go with Trey Carvery, our second star, who, as we said, did have a great game. The hat trick in a losing effort as Bobby Green was pretty much shut down and then ejected after the big scuffle. Cody Johnson coming on in relief, as we probably could have gone with him in our third star spot. Coming on after Majdanek got the ejection. But another great game, second in a row for Cody Johnson coming on in relief. And probably a good thing he got that test yesterday to get his feet under him, as he helps backstop the Manitoba Blizzard to what is now a spot in the Tier 2 gold medal final coming up tomorrow at 11 a.m. Eastern Time.
Well, that has been a Canadian Lacrosse Association copyright broadcast. Final score, 13-6 in favor of the Manitoba Blizzard. Lots more lacrosse still to come. For now, though, we say farewell to the Nova Scotia representatives as they have been eliminated. Lots more lacrosse still to come on the JVI Sports Network.